All right, guys.
Welcome back.
The game's back together.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Happy Monday.
Very rare occasion. In the flesh.
I miss New York. I ain't gonna lie.
It's a beautiful time to be here.
Absolutely perfect.
Weather's
time.
nice.
Yes.
You can go out at night. It's nice and cool. During the day, it's seasonably warm. It's good.
Good
the
energy.
fall in New York is special.
Facts. All right. So we got a lot to talk about, man. A lot going on in the world of finance, and in the world period. First, yes, I know you guys have been waiting. 50 Cent, he's done a lot of conversations, but a lot of times, the conversations, it goes in different directions. But one of the greatest business minds of our generation.
Absolutely.
And very rarely gets the opportunity to talk just about business. It's always about what rapper he has beef with or controversy or stuff like that. But I think it's kind of a little disservice to his business acumen because that stuff goes viral. But his real live information that he's able to provide,
Unprecedented.
very rarely gets highlighted. With that being said, he gave an unprecedented full-length conversation at InvestFest to us about everything, trials and tribulation, the vitamin water deal, the lawsuits with the liquor company. Very interesting insight about Diddy and that
how to mitigate risk. Yeah,
that's important.
It's a key component.
Yeah, that's very important.
Sure. So that will premiere live this Thursday at 9:00 Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m.
Yeah.
This Thursday, not tomorrow. Thursday, 9:00 Eastern Standard Time.
Change
Get your
the day, change the
popcorn.
time. Come on.
It's a new season. It's a new season. It's a new season.
Escobar's return.
He never left.
True.
We never left. But it's a new season. So, you do some updates, spring cleaning, fall sweeps.
Hey.
Prime time.
Right?
Prime time television.
Yeah.
Premiere. Get your popcorn ready.
Yeah.
This is entertaining and educational at the same time.
If we look at the model of NFL, right, they did Monday Night Football, and it was so big that they said, let's do Thursday night too.
Smart.
So why won't we follow the business plan?
Smart.
Right?
Adjust.
Come on now.
Yeah.
That's a fact. Shout out to 50.
Yo, 50. I mean, it was fun that we talked about the business, but his role in financial literacy. That's
Huge.
real.
Huge.
That's real. If y'all don't know, most people know the origin of the story, but that vitamin water breakdown starts the conversation of we need to hear more of those conversations that he did the interview. It was all right, that's the Kickstarter. He don't get enough credit for his role in financial literacy. Obviously, we know his business acumen, but bringing our culture to understanding business on that level. I mean, you heard it a few times in record, but that deal we heard and then we saw it. He really did it in 2 years.
And for everyone else, he made us realize how important equity was.
Absolutely.
Just to have the genius to put that deal together.
Absolutely.
And find a way to go get other shares. And tune in Thursday, 9 p.m. Like that and the mitigation of risk. Masterclass.
That's one. Yeah. Shout out to Fifth.
That's a fact. So, Thursday, 9:00. And then Blackout.
What we got?
Got a lot to talk about on Blackout. 10 o'clock.
What kind of mood we in for Blackout? Let me know.
Do we get a segment for the Wayne response?
Lil Wayne?
The response.
Yeah, for sure. Shannon Sharp.
Yeah.
Shannon Sharp. Shout out to Unc.
That's my Michelle.
Yo.
Shout out to Unc.
The merch right away.
Hey.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
There's a lot of business in there.
For sure.
Pause.
So
that's crazy. Pause.
So Blackout 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.
Yes.
For sure. And then Dallas. We will be in your area Saturday.
Absolutely.
We'll be in Dallas. So shout out to Rock T and the whole team for Invest DFW.
That's a fact.
Invest Dallas Fort Worth. Get your tickets. I think it's investdfw.com.
Yeah,
I believe so. Yes.
So get your tickets if you're in Dallas Fort Worth area, and shout out to everybody in just Texas period, but definitely Dallas, some place that we haven't really spent a lot of time in, but Dallas. Shout out to Dallas.
Yeah, we will not be talking about anything that happened to the Cowboys.
Shout out to Dak Prescott.
Shout out to Dak.
We will not be doing that.
Facts.
And Jerry.
Shout out to the Saints.
Ian, any announcements?
Yes, I'll be at Revolt World this Sunday. Shout out to everybody at Revolt.
Shout out to you.
Shout out to Revolt.
You got a panel going?
Yeah,
my man.
30-minute talk.
My man. Let me clap it up for you.
Thank you.
Right.
Bravo.
What time you speak?
I think 2 p.m.
Make sure y'all get there.
Yeah, get
at
there
1
early.
at 1 o'clock.
Please.
It's gonna be a great time.
Do yourself a favor.
If you want to get rich in the market, know what to buy, when to stay away, what companies to stay away from, 90 prices on a month, go to ianinvest.com. If I made you money, please put yes in chat. Contrary to what popular belief, there's only one of me and one of us. So
yeah, it's great. We had a phone call the other day, and the woman we were talking to, she didn't know who you were.
Okay.
She just knew your performance.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So she was like, this thing is incredible. This guy's on stage and he's saying, if I made you money, say hell yeah and put yes in chat, and everybody in the crowd is screaming. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
I was like,
Shout out to Star too. So 50's manager, his name is Star, handles his day to day. So he's the guy that we connected to put everything together. So he was telling me, he was like, in his barbershop in New Jersey, he was in like this is before InvestFest, like a couple of days. So one of the guys getting a haircut, was like, yo, I'm about to go to InvestFest, man. It's just crazy. He was like, he was just listening. The guy didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
So he was like, yeah, man. He's like, yo, he was like, so he's like, yo, he was talking about this show, Market Mondays, and then he's like, this guy Ian. He's like, yo, he's like a magician. Like he just predicts stocks. He's like, yo, I gotta start watching. He's like, I gotta start watching the show, man. He's like, he was like, he was just listening, like he was listening.
Yeah.
And he's like, you talking about this guy Ian and how he's always made money, and then he predicts the stocks, and then he gives you the insight.
Shout out to Star. I appreciate you, my brother.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So the work on streets for itself.
That's right, man. It was a proud moment, obviously, watching the growth and seeing what we started here. But like hearing people talk about you in that way, it was like, damn, that's power. That's impact. Like your name is being spoken in rooms you haven't even walked in, but doors you're gonna definitely kick down.
The work on speak for itself.
That's preparation means everything. I'm going up 50 after. It's like you got to take advantage of the moment. But shout out to everybody who was there, everybody in Red Panda, ATL Drum Academy. I appreciate y'all.
Yeah, you sent me some text messages about 25 already. I just let them know he's not playing. He's not playing. I didn't understand why he was texting me that, and then he texted me why he texted me that message. I said, "Oh, okay, okay." Starting in now. He's starting to work now. Okay, got you.
Ashley, elephants. I need fire to come down.
Breaking news.
Hey,
waterfall.
You got to make it happen.
Facts. Troy, disclaimer.
Yeah, let's do this. Y'all know how this works, man. Do your own research. Continue to do it. And if you can't use your own research, I mean, some guys that can give you some advice. Absolutely. But our content is intended to be used and must be used for informational purposes only. It's very important to do your own analysis before making any investment based on your own personal circumstances. You should take independent financial advice from a professional in connection with, or independently research and verify any information that you hear on our show and wish to use, whether for the purpose of making an investment decision or otherwise. This is a message brought to you by the good brothers at Earn Your Leisure and the man, the myth, the legend himself, Ian Dunlap, the master investor. Please share the research when it's great. Give credit to where you heard it. And let's spread love. Let's spread information. Let's spread joy. Let's build community.
They making you sick. I miss being in New York. I like New York as much as Mexico. I ain't gonna lie. I woke up this morning, felt energized.
It was good. Yeah, it's nice outside.
Yeah,
it's nice outside.
That's a fact. All right. So Apple.
Yes.
How we talked about Apple last week with the release of the phone. So how is Apple navigating criticism regarding the iPhone models, and what impact could it have on the company's long-term brand loyalty and market share?
I talked about this on Stock Club Call last night. I don't worry about the danger when it's at my doorstep. I worry about it when enemies begin to plan. I don't think they're handling it well. I think it's easy to say we have amazing ecosystem, a fanatical fan base, a great product line. The software has gotten better. Mm-hmm. Stock's down 3%. Mm-hmm. Now, if you look at pre-orders, if we just go off data, at the release of the phone, it's down 12% year over year in comparison to where it was last year. I think that's enough sentiment to say, hey, we're tired of the same phone. Meanwhile, Huawei 7 years ago, would have never released a phone and sold 3 million units out the gate. So I know Drake had a tough summer. Looked like Apple's having a tough fall. This Huawei's version of Not Like Us. You have to innovate. Even with me in Stock Club, I used to give one price, 10 stocks. Now I'm giving 35 stocks, 3 prices for each. Like if you don't constantly make the product better, you're going to be in trouble. And I know people have said, well, you're reaching, and I think you're going a little bit too far. I lived through Apple taking pole position from Microsoft. I lived through At one point, Stone Cold Steve Austin was selling $35 million worth of Austin 316 t-shirts, and in 2 years, it went away.
That was a moment.
Like, what?
That was a moment.
Right? So I'm seeing big research in motion. BlackBerry died in front of our eyes. And I think Apple's gotten too comfortable with putting out the same product. And when this one product represents 51% of our revenue, dog, they put out the AirPods are now hearing aids. Who wants a fucking hearing aid?
Shout out to all those who are hearing impaired.
But my thing is, like, if that's the innovate, this is not Steve Jobs' Apple anymore.
Once you start hearing things like that, and yes, for everybody that needs that assistance is great.
It's great.
But when you check the line items of key announcements, that was one. And I told you, like, the colors of the phone. I'm like, if it's the colors of the phone, then
that's not enough.
What are we doing? Here are some numbers. So Apple Information, this is a research group that takes surveys and gets data from Apple and pre-orders and sales. So they said that they did a supply chain survey, and the estimate for the pre-order numbers of the iPhone 16 model came back 27% down relative to its predecessor. That would be
that's a correction, right?
That would be the iPhone 15, right? Okay. That's almost a recession. All right, but still, even at 27% down, 9.8 million units were pre-ordered. So that's not to sneeze at. That's almost 10 million phones that were ordered. The iPhone 16 Pro Max is down 16%. So you have 27% for the Pro. Correction. The Max is down 60%, still 17 million phones. So you're talking about almost 30 million phones from just those two. Now, the standard iPhone 16 and the Plus, those saw an upside of 10% and 48%, which is pretty good, even though the numbers that were ordered so low. It's the updated phone. What was interesting is this, and I don't think they've ever done this, and they can fact check me if I haven't. Apple said you're going to get this work. Yeah. You're going to get this work whether you like it or not. What's the first thing that they do inside of the announcement? They discontinue the 15 Plus and the 15 Plus Max. They've never, that was last year's model.
They're going to force.
It's now discontinued.
Yeah.
They discontinued the 13 and they discontinued the 11. I'm like, wow, they just put out a phone last year that they're now discontinuing this year.
Why? Because if you leave the phone on the market, nobody's going to want the new one.
Exactly.
No one wants the Vision Pro goggles that...
I use them once a week. I try to, but this is what you're going to get this phone. Yeah. Whether you like it. And if that doesn't work, then you can start seeing more models starting to get discontinued, which is interesting. So that now I'm sure phone carriers and providers, which are doing most of those pre-orders, right? Yeah. So Verizon's like new phone free every year. How many of those customers are part of that pre-order? A bunch. Right. How many are from AT&T, those pre-orders? And so you take those numbers into account, but you start discontinuing the year previous, you can see why it's like, all right, this is how we now up the demand because you can't get the last one. Are you going to go back and get a 14? Well, next year that'll be discontinued.
Mistake. It's like when Def Jam was buying all them albums back. Like, that's a good strategy in the short term, long term. Apple, do what the girls in the Bronx do. Shout out to all y'all. Go to Miami, take the hardware, get the body done. I need y'all to make the body better on the iPhone.
There is a 16. BBL recession.
It needs to be an uptick on this hardware. Listen, Elon is launching Starlink or is dominating with Starlink. Yes. And you're telling me you're focusing on software when hardware is the new model? Your software isn't better than OpenAI's. Make the hardware better. And this was Microsoft's issue. They were a software company that let HP, Compaq, Lenovo make the hardware. Then Steve said, we need to do both and bring it in-house so it's a flawless experience. And Apple gave up on the damn hardware.
And it's a model that they're going back to, right? You saw it inside of the computers when everybody was talking about there's a chip supply, there's a shortage. They said, all right, well, we're not going to use the normal, we're going to create our own. Yeah. So now everything is in-house. We even saw some other companies looking at it. Why are we going to go out to get these technologies when we can do them in-house ourselves? Yes, it'll take time, but long-term, the top line will be much better. So
Dow's up today, Apple's down. As a result,
2 years ago that couldn't be true.
They would have led.
Right.
They would have.
They would be pushing the market.
So
there's a new sheriff in town.
All right. Hit the like button and share.
You gonna force them to buy a phone that they don't want? They just bought a phone last year. What?
Yeah. So you still can get you can still get the 15, the regular model, and the 15, I think S, but the Plus and Pros, I think those are the ones that people were using to now shoot content on. Yeah. Or like I just seen the weekend, one of the ads for the new 16 is that he shot his new music video with the Max Plus. Yeah. So the camera quality, they're they said it wasn't that much of an upgrade. I think if you were able to shoot in 4K at 120,
that's amazing. That's incredible.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So they actually showed you how it was able to work. I know when we look at the videos in 4K and it's at 60, it's like, yo, it looks like you're sitting there.
Yeah.
120, now you can actually record in slow motion at those frames. So that's a hell of an upgrade.
Yeah, that's a good upgrade. Yeah. Shannon Sharp, don't upgrade your phone.
Please.
When you do your next little rollout.
Security.
That's my Michelle. What?
Cardio. Get your cardio in.
I said, damn.
Shout out to Shannon. So, okay, what's the key indicators or global events triggering Friday's market rally? And is it a short-term surge or beginning of a more sustained recovery?
I think it's a short-term surge. Everybody's just trying to front-run their trades and investments on this basis points cut. Mm-hmm. Nothing more, nothing less. Which is why I'm surprised that Apple is down so much today. Mm-hmm. But when you have sentiment being that it's at least going to be a quarter of a basis point, everyone's getting it. It's like when GameStop went up and everyone wanted to miss out. They didn't care about what price they were going to buy.
Yeah.
Everyone's just running it up. Now, if he doesn't announce 50 or 25.
You once said 0. Where are you at today?
I don't think he's going to raise.
You think nothing?
I'll come on here and say I was wrong, but I don't. If anything, he's been unpredictable.
This is true. This is a big moment. I mean, every moment's a big moment.
And he's in a tough spot because if you do 50, you're pretty much, when he's been apolitical, is now saying that you want Kamala to win. If you do a quarter, it's too safe. It's a tough spot to be in, man.
If you do 50, you risk inflation going back up, right? Because you can almost create a bubble. Mm-hmm. You start to see money pour back in because rates are lower.
Meme stocks can go flying. Yeah.
How much those numbers go down, prices will go up. People will be in the market, which would be great for the market. But is it sustainable over the long term? Probably not. It's risky. I think 25 is the safest thing to do.
Safe
I want 50. I saw Steve Leisman talk about 50. He had a whole case for it.
If he do 50, JD Vance, pack it up.
I was excited to hear it. I'm like, yes, this is great for the market. But I think 25 would be safe. But I mean, Friday, what CPI numbers came in.
Yeah.
So the consumer price index, which is really how much products and services have gone up or gone down, that rose. Inflation came down, which is what you want to see. So all the things that you want to see are happening. And it's happening in a pretty good fashion right now.
Yeah.
I know the American people haven't felt it as much. But if they cut interest rates, you will. And I started seeing now, I shout out to MG, I'm starting to see more of these real estate polls like, this is the moment.
Yes,
this is the moment. We're coming back down. We might get to 5. I know it's at 5.5 now. If we get down to 5, if we get under 4, under 5 by the end of the year, you're in a good. Insane. I think you're in a good spot.
Insane.
I think so.
Nvidia go to 190, we get a 50 basis point cut.
I could see 190's high. I could see I see 140 for sure.
Now, if you do a JD Vance, Trump pack it up. You put out 50. You should have walked out with 50 in many men. It's too late.
They do 50. Let's say they do. Hypothetically,
market
they
goes
do 50.
Crazy.
Quadruple witching is Friday. That announcement is happening on, I believe, Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. That happens Wednesday. Usually when quadruple witching happens, you start to see a downtick in the market because all the contracts, futures, option sides are expiring. Hopefully people have made money in those, but there'll be sell-offs because people will take profits.
Yeah.
You see it going 50 on Wednesday. What happens by Friday?
Friday it'll drop. Monday we take off. Sunday night it'll take off. We have 562.12 now. On SPY, highs 565. It'll burn through that by next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Seatbelts on.
Yeah. So if he does 50, the market is going to go on a tear. So Bitcoin to go on a tear, Ethereum going to tear, meme coins to go crazy. So
it could be a great day.
It definitely could be. Definitely could be.
For sure. And if you want to see micro clips of content, Earn Your Leisure Clips page, a new YouTube page that was started just for the clips, the short 10-minute, 8-minute segment of conversations as opposed to full long episodes and dialogue. So Earn Your Leisure Clips across YouTube if you're interested in the micro dosing in a sense.
I can't wait to black out.
The micro dose play.
Micro dose play. Somebody asked me a question today. I did a Zoom interview. Shout out to Miss B, and the guy asked me about Viatical settlement. You know what that is?
Say it again.
Viatical settlement.
I thought you said Viagra. I'm
Yeah,
like, wait,
said,
what?
damn. What
What they
happened?
do?
What Pfizer do?
What they did?
So this
Somebody
is
popped too many pills.
this is a question that I haven't been asked in a very
I've never heard this.
in a very
Me
long
either.
time. But so you can sell a life insurance policy, and there's like funds that actually buy life insurance policies from people.
Okay.
Elderly people. It's kind of like a reverse mortgage in a sense. So like, let's say somebody is 70 years old and they have a $200,000 life insurance policy and they need money. Like they don't have any money to actually live, but they do have an asset, which is a life insurance. So now the company would buy the life insurance policy, let's say for $40,000. So it's $40,000 to you, but they'll based on the expectancy that you'll probably die within the next 7 years, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I pay $40,000 today for $200,000 that will mature in 7 years, right? So that's something that, like I said, I haven't been asked that question in a long time, but I guess they saw a commercial and they was asking me about it. So that is something that it is a strategy, but it is important to keep in mind if somebody's going to buy an asset, usually they're not buying it unless they're going to make a high rate of return.
Yeah.
Right. It's like anything.
Minimum
right?
5x.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's why it's important to have other planning in place. Like last week we talked about retirement planning, we talked about investing, because you don't want to get to a point where that's your only asset to sell.
Yeah.
Because you're shortchanging the amount, but also now you no longer have that life insurance policy as far as the beneficiary is not. If you were going to leave it to your grandkids, now they're screwed.
Yeah, stuck.
They're done. But yeah, that's something that hedge funds have been doing for a while, and they buy up life insurance policies. They go and they look. It's like a distressed asset.
Yeah.
They see who's vulnerable. They see who might.
Selling the life insurance is crazy. Shout out to you record labels who've been doing the same thing, and they've been giving the moms the money when they die.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk on Blackout
But
day.
But everything's a business. Everything's a business in America, and they found out that was actually a viable business opportunity that they can, because it's guaranteed, and they pay the premium. So they'll take over. They'll pay the premium, but in return they'll get the death benefit when you die.
They doing this on term or whole?
Yeah. How expensive is the premium?
Well, it's the same premium that whatever it was.
So what? Okay, so that would be like if somebody got a life insurance policy on their elderly parents. Very similar in that sense, where the premium is going to be a little bit more, obviously.
It depends when you get it. Like I'm saying, like somebody can get life insurance when they're 40 years old,
right?
And they have it, and they paid premiums for 30 years,
right?
And now they're 70. So you ask term. They don't do it on term. They do it on whole life because term is expired. So it's all based off of calculations. So they want to do it on what the probability that you're. So that's why like the 70 is a sweet spot, because like 78 is like the life expectancy, 82 something like that. So you buy it on an elderly person.
Yeah.
That person probably already had life insurance for a while, because you can't get life insurance at 70. It's going to be difficult. So they probably already had it for at least 20 years.
Yeah.
So if they paid the premium since they were 50, they're just going to take it over. They're going to take the premium payments over. And now so they're just they sit and wait for you to die.
And buy them in bundles.
And then exactly. So now if you got a whole portfolio, if you got $100 million in life insurance that you've purchased for, let's say, $20 million, you've essentially you're buying money.
Absolutely.
With the maturity date, and so it's like bonds in a sense, right? Where it's guaranteed. You're paying a premium. So let's say that premium so let's say by the time you finish paying the premium, you're gonna pay $40 million on your portfolio. So you're gonna spend $40 million, but you're gonna get $200 million
guaranteed, because everybody's gonna die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that transferable? So like, what if the person who's buying it? Well, you said it's a hedge fund, so it's a little bit different. But if it was an individual, is that transferable? Is that something that can be passed down? Like, how would that work?
Is what transferable?
So like, if let's say me as an individual, or I have an LLC or a company that is now buying these insurance policies. Let's say I do it on 20 people. That's under my portfolio, right? That is a transferable asset to my son, my daughter.
Probably upon liquidation.
No, it's going to go to your company.
Yeah,
it's going to go to the company. Yeah. So it's not like a personal thing. It's in corporate. So like I said, it's kind of like a reverse mortgage. We haven't spoke about that in a while, but
what's that called?
Viatical settlement.
Viatical settlement. Okay, I
So-
need to get some insurance on some of y'all careers. You dying. I ain't gonna lie.
The life
Cash
expectancy
you out
of your
today.
What is the life expectancy?
I hear
of
you. Let me
your
cash you out
career?
today, my boy. I hear you.
We won't.
Yeah, for sure.
They were like, no, we can't insure it.
But also, if you have an elderly person in your family, just make sure, because they'll get targeted, so they might not fully
Absolutely.
understand. They say, "Oh, why somebody gonna give me $40,000 today?" That sounds good, like, you know. And like I said, it's like a reverse mortgage in a sense, where a lot of times people can't pay their mortgages anymore, so somebody will kind of they'll buy out the home, so they still live in that home until they die. But when they die, now the home goes back to the fund or the bank or whoever
The person who bought it, yeah.
So it's like, okay, I'm gonna take care of your mortgage. That sounds good to somebody until they realize that, yeah, they're paying your mortgage for 3 years to get your home.
Yeah.
So it's like, what's 3 years of a mortgage payment for $1 million home?
Yeah, for real. 700,000 out the. Oh my God.
That's-
Be careful.
That's a hell of a flip.
So yeah, so gotta be careful. All right.
It's
a great
predators
segment.
and the prey.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's always gonna be a way to. It's always a way to make money.
Viatical settlement. Word of the day.
All right, it's always a way to make money in America. You just got to figure it out.
Word to Ted DiBiase.
Okay, so what does the phrase "the bigger the base, the higher in space" reveal about market dynamics in 2023?
Yeah, because I think we're going to get to a place depending on what this Fed cut is. If you look at, let's say, Intel, I know I've picked on Intel for a long period of time. If we look at the chart, they are at levels from 2008, 2009.
Nasty.
If you truly believe that the government giving them money is going to help long term, this would be a good place to begin to build a base in this company. Building a base is just buying a bunch of shares at a certain price and then expecting it to go up for 4 or 5 years later. Intel, I don't think will do that. But I think when we're having these moments of consolidation and people are being afraid if the rate cuts are going to happen, find an asset that you like that is distressed in the same fashion, buy a bunch of shares at a particular price, give it 4 or 5 years to go up, and it'll be A-okay. Now, Nvidia, they are over-indexing on AI. They are the main supplier in the AI space, so that's why I say Intel won't do well. But if you look in crypto, if you look in small caps, you may be able to find a company that is not moving incredibly fast and then be able to buy a bunch of shares at that price, and in 3 or 4 years, it's going to go up.
Yeah, it reminded me of kind of what we talked about last week, when you see downturn, on the other side of that is potential gains.
Yep.
So the longer that a company trades sideways, and some of these companies are really good. Like a lot of times people will look like, isn't that a good company? Yes, it is a good company.
Yeah.
It's just consolidating right now, right? It's trading sideways. But on the other end of that is that when it's down like that or it's trading sideways, there's going to be, if it's a great company, the potential growth there is there. And so you have a growth stock that'll perform well. But it takes discipline, it takes seasoning, and it takes patience.
It does.
Right? Because when you see Nvidia go up 143%, or you see Supermicro go, you're watching these things and you're like, wait, I'm missing it. And sometimes the wins are in, let's talk about Apple.
Yep.
Just 7 years ago.
Yeah.
It was why was it not moving? Why is it not moving? Well, it was consolidating, and obviously the pandemic happened, and then boom, Apple goes on a run.
Yep.
Amazon has done it before too. So solid companies will consolidate. Sometimes it'll take 5-6 months. I know people are looking at Google like same. Is it a
Give
strong
it time.
company? Right.
Give it time.
Just give it time. When it's in a consolidation phase, realize that there's going to be an upside that you can have extreme growth in. So just be patient.
Patience always pays, but you have to do it in a quality company.
That's the key.
I forgot one thing about the Viatical settlement that ChatGPT reminded me, which makes it even more like, shows you how like American capitalism works. So most of the time it's actually done, I said end of life, but so it said Viatical settlement is a financial arrangement in which a person with a terminal or chronic illness sells their life insurance policy for a third party for a lump sum payment. The buyer of the policy becomes beneficiary and assumes responsibility for paying the policy's premium upon original payer's death. Typically, the payment the seller receives. So this is the important part. It's usually for people who need immediate cash to cover medical bills and living expenses or financial needs while they're still alive. So it's like, all right, you have brain cancer. You got 6 months to live.
Yeah.
And you don't have enough money to actually, so it's a multi-layered conversation. This speaks to the American health system as well. People don't have enough money to actually pay their medical bills, right? So it's like now you got somebody in Wall Street that's like, okay, this person in Nebraska has brain cancer and they're about to die, but they don't have enough money to actually even get chemo.
Yeah.
You got a $500,000 life insurance policy. I'm gonna give you $50,000.
Yep.
So at least you can get chemotherapy for a couple of months. After that, your life insurance policy is mine.
That's crazy. This happened a lot with AIDS patients in the 90s as well too. That was a big cash grab for a lot of investors, that it came out maybe 10 years after that they were doing that. Yeah, it's sad and sick. Yeah, it's a crazy world we live in, especially on that insurance side. But
yeah,
what you gonna do?
It's always gonna be.
What do you do?
A shark in the water.
Always arbitrage.
If you need it, what you gonna do?
Yep. But pay attention to the numbers. They're looking for 5x return, number I've told you about endlessly. Every asset class are looking to exit around the same area. Please be careful. And going back to the healthcare issue, this is when these conversations about how much money do you need and levels of wealth. You can go bankrupt really fast in 2 or 3 months if going through chemo and radiation. If you don't have the money and insurance doesn't cover it, you can run up a bill for $200,000-$300,000 in 2 or 3 months.
For sure. We got to talk about long-term care 1 week too, because that's another way you go. Even nursing homes.
Yes.
Those nursing homes are like $30,000 a month.
A month?
Some are. And get the house. Yeah.
That's a fact.
Shit is real.
Yeah, that's like a month. So if you don't have, what happens is that they exhaust. So with them, that's an interesting case study too, because they're like, okay, well, the government comes in with like Medicaid, Medicare, whatever. But they only do that when you have no money. So you got to exhaust all of your retirement account, all your bank account. They you literally have to be poor,
almost destitute.
Then the government will come in and supply some help. So yeah, that's another thing. You save your whole life for your 401k, and then you get dementia, and now that 401k is gone in a year.
Yeah.
So that's why you got to plan for that as well. Or now you got to live with your son or your daughter, and now that's a tremendous stress that you got to put on there.
Yeah.
Because it's like you're not gonna have your parents just out in the whim.
Yeah.
But they're not equipped to take care of them.
You gotta build the West Wing for them.
So all of this, it all comes into play, man. You gotta, cash is king, and preparation is important.
Absolutely.
On all fronts. Like it was like I had this conversation with my parents. It was, how does this work? Do you take care of your children your whole life, for your children to then take care of you while having children? So how do we break this cycle? It's planning. That the answer is planning.
It's a lot of planning.
That's the overall answer that we came to the conclusion is like planning, right? Because if I'm preparing for the next generation to take care of the generation before me, it's a strain. Yeah. It can be. We've been blessed. I'm extremely blessed. I'm not complaining. But like everybody's not in my situation, and everybody may not have a situation like, hey, mom and dad, you can come live with me.
Yeah.
So the planning part the conversation needs to happen, but the planning phase needs to happen right after the conversation.
So ChatGPT says in New York City, nursing homes could exceed $15,000 a month. So, all right, so maybe not 30, but that's just bare minimum. If you want other,
15 bands is a lot.
No, for sure, $15,000. Yeah,
and that's not for exceptional care. That's base level.
Right. And if you want like other specialists to come in.
And private doctors, that's a whole another
Telling
fee.
somebody to pay, asking someone $15,000 when they've lived on fixed income potentially for the past 10 to 15 years is crazy. Then asking somebody who might be their children to now afford, most people are renting, but let's say you are average mortgage, $3,000 for $15,000? Wow.
Yeah, healthcare.
And then to not get the best coverage, like if your family is in those nursing homes, you better go check. Because the abuse levels.
You want to put them in the best one. You want to have them in close proximity to where you are so you can get there.
Private room. You have a roommate. That's like, this medical system, man. Medical system, biggest business in America.
Absolutely.
Biggest business in America.
At every level, they'll find a way to extract money out of you. College, tuition, marriage, the health care. And then that's the crazy part. They'll put you in a nursing home and then put you on more medicine to run the insurance up. Then end up having to pay out of pocket.
Insurance is a whole
it's a whole another
crazy. Yeah.
Gotta make sure.
Yeah, you pay it, then when you need it, they don't want you to use it. Then when you do use it, they up your premium.
Yeah.
It's like there's a race that you can't win.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all right. Okay. Well, with the another round of downward revisions in Friday's jobs report, what are the underlying economic trends and how do these adjustments impact the Federal Reserve's outlook on rate cuts?
If they're gonna lie about the job numbers for all this time, at some point he's gonna have to, and he's in a tough spot because if he makes it 50 basis points, like you said, inflation goes up. If he does nothing, the market could slide down. The truth is, in 22, they should have just announced recession, let us go through it for a year, and then we find a way to recover. When you keep kicking this issue down the curb, it makes it even worse. And I think that job number, that 800,000 that got revised, I think that's probably even lower. I mean, lower than what it should be. It should be probably 1.3, 1.5. So I don't even know many employers who want to hire.
But you need that. If you need that, right?
Yeah.
You need less people to have jobs, right? You need to see inflation. You need these things in order to say now this is justifiable for a cut. So like we said, like that's the unfortunate part. Like people are not going to have jobs.
Yep.
But that's part of the process that's needed to make sure that this is a soft landing. I would say this.
Soft landing for who? The 1%. Like you think Larry Ellison is begging to spend money with Jensen?
No, he's not. No.
So to hire more people,
the overall economy.
Got you.
Right. So in that sense, I think he's done a really good job because it looks super unlikely that this could happen. In fact, we were on here saying, I don't know how this happens. It's not. It's a recession.
I mean, if I tell you it's not a tiger in the room and it's a tiger in the room, that's a great way to have a soft landing.
Also true.
Yep. He did what he was supposed to do.
He did what he's supposed to do. And at this point, we're going back. We're going, rates are high. Rates have been cut. They're getting cut. They're going to get cut Wednesday. We'll see what the number is. But November is going to happen. December could happen.
Yeah.
So you see a pathway to 3% to 2% eventually. I don't know when that happens, but you can see that we're not going up. How's that?
If rates go to 2%, then how much more do housing costs go up? 35%.
I really don't know how people are going to afford homes.
I don't either.
And I know that's a part of, the debate last week, housing and housing credit. I'm looking at home prices, and shout out to everybody that's looking for a home right now. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't even know how. $1,200 square feet, $650,000
minimum.
And people are paying cash.
Yep.
Overpriced. $700,000. My next door neighbor is selling $665,000, 1,250 square feet.
That's crazy. But hey, what do we know?
How do you like? Right?
I don't know. And mortgage applications, tough. Debt going up higher. Debt servicing is still high. Auto loan crisis in terms of payment. Like, it's a lot of normal cars that are going for $2,200 a month. That's like $2,200 back in the day was a Bentley.
Yeah.
It's like, what? The Honda Genesis don't look that fucking good to pay $1,900 a month. Like, we're in a big financing crisis and no one wants to say anything, and it's not going to make things better. I think we should have ripped the Band-Aid off, had surgery right away, but
keep investing.
Yeah, you have to stay invested for the long term.
Keep investing.
Have to.
Yeah, that's a fact. So we also have an option class for EY University this Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Troy's option class. So if you're in EY University, make sure that you are there for that. That's important.
We're busy.
This Thursday at 7. So Troy, talk about an option, something about options.
Oh man, so shout out to everybody that's in EYLU. I'm gonna look into this camera, man. Last week I told you I was looking at Broadcom. I put the number in and I said if it pulls back, which it did, we're gonna get in at this number. We did that. Shout out to everybody that executed on that. I'm gonna show you an insider look of why we did it and when we did it. So I always like to take screenshots of these things as they happen in real time and then watching the reaction to it. But also, and if you didn't watch this, and I text y'all, Friday night, Oprah had a special on artificial intelligence. The conversation was led off by Altman. The conversation was ended by Gates.
Yeah.
If you heard what those two were saying about where this is headed, Bill Gates said this is the greatest technological advancement in my lifetime.
Yeah.
This is a man who was hands-on in invention of the computer, hands-on in the creation of the internet, saying this is the greatest technological advancement in his lifetime. We're going to break that down. There's some key words in there. So I'm going to use some of those clips inside of the presentation. Obviously it's Oprah. She did an incredible job. Yeah. But watching Sam Altman's, how he delivered the message, his body language, and the things that he said, I'm going to peel back some of the layers because there's some of the things that we've been saying is when it relates to data centers and what type of technology is going to be at the forefront. So we're going to peel back some of the layers, climb into those companies, look on them, and hopefully make some plays from them.
Those data centers are hardware companies, right?
So there's a couple of factors inside the data. The wiring, hard wiring, number one, the power that it takes to get there. And we talked about the security that's needed for those data centers to actually be at their best function. And so every time we talk about Nvidia, they keep talking about data centers. But what does that mean? So we're going to break that down inside the class.
So, but for people that's not in EY University, give them some option information.
We talked about it last week, right? When there's a downturn in the market, and obviously, if the rate cut happens on Wednesday, we'll see some uptick.
That'd be a great opportunity.
September is always volatile, and so some of the plays that we looked at in August have now become available for us inside of September. Broadcom was one of them. There's a few others that we have on our list. A sleeper that I've talked about, I'll give it out here. Visa. I talked about Visa.
Yeah.
If you look at Visa, and this is in our June class. In our June class, I said Visa's on my list of next. Visa's had an amazing summer. So we'll look at the key points. We'll look at the metrics, why we're buying the options where we're at. I always talk about depreciation, what that percentage looks like, what the asset value is in relation to this option price. So we're going to go in-depth layers, man. And the beautiful thing is that as people are coming to the classes, they're learning and they're executing. And so now it's not the beginner class anymore. Yeah. We do have service level things that we'll start with, but we're going to get a little bit more advanced as people are starting to execute and making money, which is the most important thing.
Yeah, and put American Express on your watch list too. If debt continues to go up on a personal finance side, Visa and AXP are going to be two of the biggest beneficiaries.
Absolutely. And we're talking about global brand.
Yep.
Global. Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. How much should investors rely on central bank policy for future growth as, optimism grows as far as for larger rate cuts?
I think it matters. It's probably top 3 indicators. They set the policy for what's going to happen in the world. Even when we had the tech boom wasn't because of all the great innovation. It was really because interest rates were at 0% for a 12-year period. So what they do matters. Back in the day, it was Alan Greenspan. Like when the Fed chair is speaking and they make policy, you have to listen about what's going on. So we'll talk about which stocks to invest in if certain people win later. But if interest rates remain at this level, certain sectors thrive a lot more. And if the interest rates are a lot lower, it gives a lot more wiggle room for alternative investments to do well, because interest rates aren't as high. So Fed policy is everything. It's probably the number one indicator you need to focus on.
Yeah, I think it's super important what you just said. When the rates get cut, then industries will rise. The only issue is, like they'll say, oh, we're in an AI bubble, right? Because, that could happen. But it's vitally important, right? When you're talking about home prices, when you're talking about car prices, when you're talking about capital expenditures for these Fortune 500, Fortune 100 companies, you cut rates, that helps them out substantially. So it's vitally important. Should we rely on it?
You have to. The people who print the money determine what happens in the world. Like, we're not gonna lie. And your RSI is cute. If you don't know what Fed policy is doing over the next 8 or 10 years, you're gonna be screwed. Everybody who was long oil and short tech got destroyed as the zero interest rate environment was there the whole time.
Here's why I don't know if the word rely is the word.
Okay.
If we rely on it, then is that sustainable? Because at some point they will stop cutting rates, right? Let's say that's in 2 years. They'll stop. Yeah. Now what's our economic data that we're using? The other part is that when we rely on it, things, like you said, asset classes will rise. Fundamentally, they probably shouldn't.
They shouldn't rely upon...
No, I'm saying technically, fundamentally, some of these companies, their valuations are out of whack.
Yeah.
You cut rates, that will continue to be out of whack. Yeah. So I don't know if rely is the word. We definitely should incorporate it. I think incorporate
has to be used.
It is a better word that I would use when we're talking about the Fed. But you'll see certain sectors, right? This week, if rate cuts happen, technology is going to rise.
Yep.
It should. but financials.
Yeah, they're gonna rise.
Oh my gosh!
Then
right.
GameStop will get a little pump and fall back down, like I told y'all I would. Listen, meme coins will take it, but if he does nothing or it stays at the same level,
I'm gonna go live. If he does nothing,
it's gonna
live.
be tough.
Like, oh wait, I don't even have to go live. If he does, if Thursday I'll be in the class, I'll have to update some things.
Yeah, but you have to pay attention to it.
Yeah.
I talked about it in InvestFest, like economic policy, quantitative easing, yield curve. Those are the three indicators you have to understand the macro picture.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and all of your trades have to be based off of that. Because if you were trading the same way off of RSI in 99, 2000, 2007, you were getting destroyed based on where interest rates were. When interest rates went to zero, then tech took off. Like NASDAQ was flat for a 10-year period until Obama came in and saved the world with the economic policy.
Yeah, and people that are using RSI, I know you don't like to use it. I do use it.
95.5, I talked about it at InvestFest.
But even inside of that, some people don't realize that when they have that RSI indicator, it'll be on 14 days.
Mistake.
Okay. Like that,
you gotta make an adjustment.
That's a very short window. Make an adjustment to how far your RSI goes out.
Yes.
95.5, that's like dummy proof.
That's what gets Star talking. Shout to Star. Gets a wizard. Yup.
95.5.
Yeah. Did it without a Saturday shrine. You know what I mean? Just hard work. 95.5 help a lot. So
Yeah. Okay. 5 is crazy.
yeah.
Well, have you seen the company go to 5? I feel like 20 would be reasonable.
But my thing is I don't look for reason, I look for exceptional measures. So like
Right,
even
like
GameStop
AMD gets to 91. We're there.
getting close, like a GameStop or Intel.
Okay.
It's like, okay, so just a little, but y'all don't got to listen. Do what y'all
You don't
do.
have to.
Y'all can do 60-40 if you want to. Go ahead. 50-50 how y'all doing y'all relationships. You know what I mean?
Facts.
What do I know?
Facts.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Okay. Donald Trump, assassination attempt.
Oh man, again.
Man, that's tough.
Again, they had him in the bushes. Why he's playing golf? Was it golf or tennis? It's golf.
Probably golf at Mar-a-Lago. Yeah.
Yeah, Secret Service is on it this time. They was on it. They saw something poking out in the bushes that border the course, and looked suspicious, and they got right on it, which is great. You never want to see somebody's life be threatened, and it's great to see that the Secret Service did their job, and were active when they saw a immediate threat.
Yeah.
And but he was able to drive off, and they apprehended him, and so. Thankfully nobody was hurt, nobody was injured, and it was a failed attempt. I think that's the best thing I can say about it.
But this stock though, imagine like having attempts in your life, and then the day you can like exit out, you underwater. Not good. DJT is uninvestable.
Did he have a lock-in date?
I think it was last Friday.
Oh damn,
that's tough, yo.
Damn,
you should have negotiated that differently, but I'm staying out of presidential affairs. But yeah, I pray nothing happens to any candidate or any politician during the season, because it could lead to a civil war. Notice it wasn't a Haitian who had hot dogs for lunch that did it though.
It wasn't. They went to his social media. He was a Make America Great supporter.
That's crazy.
Which was interesting. I don't know if those reports are 100% accurate, but from the early signs that when they looked into his account, that's what they saw.
Yeah.
So dangerous times.
Rashad, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, who knows? Who knows, man?
You're so smart, yeah.
Who knows? It ain't at this point anything can happen. But yeah, president is only the election is two months away, so we'll see.
Yep, we'll monitor the situation.
Monitor the situation. Yep. That's a fact.
Yep,
that's might see me in DC.
Hey,
that's a fact.
Shout out to everybody in DC when we was there last week.
And watch our debate recap.
Oh, that was good.
If you're interested,
that was entertaining. Yeah, that was entertaining.
That was fun.
Yeah, a lot of people tapped into that. That was one of them ones. All right. So what makes companies like Marathon Petroleum, MarineMax, Planet Fitness, Nvidia, SentinelOne stand out in the current economic environment, and which sectors are best positioned for growth?
If I go one by one, Platinum Fitness out of this group may be, and I think this is a great question that was sent in. I don't like Marathon a whole lot. Sentinel has potential, I think. Platinum Fitness out of this group, I do like, but the thing I want to stress in like a list like this, especially if we had to be definitive in what is the best publicly traded company of all, like of right now, that's Nvidia. They have no close competition. You can't pick up a C player and expect a C player to then become an A. Sentinel, okay. Marathon, okay. Are they better than Exxon? No. I want to be very clear in like the investment thesis. You have to pick best of breed, and you can't take an expired chicken salad and turn it into a 5-star course. This is not 2020. When interest rates were low and money was flowing in, everything looked amazing, right? Now, we have so much separation from the A players from the C and D. I don't think you can even afford to gamble. So some of those, maybe you can swing trade them. Maybe you can do a short-term option on them. But long-term, you have to buy the best companies that are available in order to be able to do well long-term. Platinum Fitness out of this group, I think is pretty good. But other than that, I wouldn't touch any of the other ones.
Yeah, I actually had a short-term call, and I really don't like doing short-term options on Marathon Petroleum.
Yeah.
During, it was maybe 2 years ago when they were cutting the production of oil. A quick play. But yeah, I'll take your own advice here, and I'll say if it's not one or two in its sector,
leave it alone.
Then I'm going to leave it alone.
You're gambling.
And if I'm looking at all of these outside of Nvidia, I'm leaving them all alone because they're not one or two. In fact, they might not even be three in their respective sectors. Planet Fitness is an interesting one. We watched that company a pandemic happened, and we saw what happened to that company.
Yeah.
Just starting to see them pick back up, but from what we saw last week, when we're talking about Novo, and we're talking about Lilly, they have a fight in the future. Absolutely. Yes, people will always want to exercise, and congratulations to all those people. But the American population, if there's a pill form to lose weight, that's going to affect their business.
Absolutely.
There's no way to run from that. Now, could it happen in conjunction with that pill? That's a game changer.
You better go get your partnership and sell them pills in that little $10 bundle. Otherwise, you're going to be in trouble. Look, if you can get the Ice Spice bundle pack at Planet Fitness, cool. But other than that, allegedly. Shout out to the Bronx. Shout out to the Bronx. Love you all day.
Stop playing with them, right?
No, for real. But hey, it's tough, man. Marathon, they haven't had a new all-time high since 2007.
Yeah, I wasn't even. You know what? Until we went to the Midwest. I think we were in Detroit, and we were in Ohio last year. I hadn't even seen a Marathon station.
Yeah.
Until I went to the Midwest. I'm like, oh, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
That's
everywhere.
Like, so like again, there's sometimes traveling, or you just become more aware to things as you're now investigating them.
Absolutely.
Right. Like it's like I'm looking for a white car now. Only cars I see are white.
Yeah, but they're not better than Exxon. Like,
no, Chevron.
Yeah, you have some fierce competition. In that space. So
speaking of politics, okay, let's assume that Vice President Harris wins the election in November, and she becomes president. What companies and what industries would do good as a result of her becoming president?
Great question. Please listen and write these down.
Please.
Visa, American Express, Uber, shout to Dar.
You don't say.
Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia. If you want the Democratic Queen Kamala play, Visa, American Express, Uber, Microsoft, Apple, Nvidia. Finito. That's all you need. That's all I will say. Look, paying in. I'm telling you, these are going to do well. And meanwhile, Visa continues to make newer highs. It hit a high earlier this year. It's close to breaking that. American Express is doing well. Its personal debt is going up. You probably can throw Lilly into that list as well. But Visa for sure. Uber for sure. American Express for sure. Microsoft for sure. You'll be A-okay. If she wins, those will do incredibly well over the next 4 or 8 years, hands down.
I will agree with that, and I will also say infrastructure. So industrials. I think if you listen to what she's saying, home building, new homes, That's going to take infrastructure. That's going to take. In fact, they have an infrastructure bill, right?
Yeah.
That the previous administration has laid out, and so I would imagine she would want to continue that infrastructure bill. I think the semis will do well because, again, there's been a CHIPS Act that's been laid out by the previous administration, and you're going to make sure that goes through. And we understand the battle that we have with China. In fact, that was a part of the conversation too. That was a real part of the conversation. It was like, we have to win this battle. We have to win this battle at all costs. How do we do it? We bring infrastructure here. We bring foundries here. We make sure that we're producing here.
It's necessary.
I like those two sectors inside of that administration.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you just left DC. You want to tell us what Pelosi told you?
Shout out to Pelosi.
A legend. And
Shout out to the legend.
And ETFs too. So I just add that last
absolutely.
part. So shout out to BlackRock.
I love you.
There are industrial ETFs, and so I mean, you can just type that in, and it'll give you the top 15 performing ones. But if you don't want to invest in singular companies, do the sector.
Yeah,
do the sector.
So, what are some major trends and risks that investors should be watching as we approach the 2025 market?
Sector rotation is something I want retail investors to stop focusing on. I think I hate to say it, but like altcoins having a long-term return is going to get throttled as BlackRock dominates more in that Bitcoin and Ethereum space. And then I know there's going to be a lot of companies that are going to predict that they're going to be the next leader in quantum computing to try and jump the AI race. There's only going to be 2 or 3 winners in the quantum computing space. I think those have already been selected. What do I know? I'm just a guy on YouTube talking. But I think Nvidia and Google are going to lead, and Microsoft are going to lead there as well. So when everyone is saying this is the next thing that is coming, be mindful that until you start to see the kind of press that Sam has had with Oprah and the rollout, most people don't know. Quantum computing isn't locked in yet, but I think it's probably the most important sector over the next 4 or 5 years. And we're going to see a major correction in a lot of industries at one time. Banking, financials, industrial, even the Russell 2000. Russell 2000. Can you name me 20 companies in the Russell 2000 you'll put money into?
No.
There has to be a lot of course correction. And even Michael Dell selling off $800 million worth of shares after he got into the S&P. I'm like, I'm not mad at him for doing so, but I think the timing of it was very interesting. I think there's going to be a shift in policy by 2025, 2027, if they finally do announce a recession. It may be like a niche recession, but I think there's going to be, they're going to play with the words, right? And say, well, we had a recession in these segments of the market, but the rich got richer. Be mindful of the sectors that they're telling you to invest in that are actually uninvestable. So I feel terrible if somebody's trying to kill me in the bushes and I couldn't get out of my stock. I was like, yeah, why you playing? That's like when the video was going crazy and you locked out of the Schwab account, like, bruh, let me sell.
Man went in the bushes. Just crazy. That's crazy. What sectors would you say are quote unquote uninvestable?
I think the majority of media right now is uninvestable because of rates. Like when rates are lower, shout out to all the media partners, love you guys dearly from Tama, all that. But if rates stay at this level or even they drop 1/4 of a basis point, the margins aren't wide enough.
Yeah, it's funny you said that. I was watching a clip. Charlemagne was saying something very similar. He was like, the model of media has to be broken, has to be shaken.
Has to be changed.
In fact, it isn't like I have this piece of content, here, buy it from me, and now I get a talent fee. It's a new model.
Yeah, it has to
We
be.
have the content, we're creating the content. You can work with us if you want, but we're still going to get this thing out.
Yeah.
There's a shift there.
Huge shift. And I know a lot of you guys are commenting on it while not having great content. But my thing has always been in the content space, when they have you fighting over talent and not equity, mistake. Like Sirius paid all that money for Call Her Daddy. Can you name me 4 other shows on Sirius right now? Mistake.
Howard Stern still over there? Howard Stern still over there?
Yeah, I think so.
$1 billion.
Hanging on by a leg.
I don't even think he doesn't even add. He's just password.
Yeah. So
legend though. Legend.
I think that it needs to be a major overhaul just in a few of these spaces, and that's definitely, media is definitely one of them. I wouldn't invest in media right now.
So we gotta watch Disney, Paramount, Discovery.
Netflix is the only player that I feel comfortable investing in long term on a publicly traded side.
Netflix. Okay,
sure.
Streaming.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Universal is Peacock, correct? They own it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But look at them. We won't say the name, but shout to y'all.
Who that? Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah. See
RSI?
I try to tell them before. When you have a good thing, you don't let it go.
Y'all effective valuation?
You don't let it go. You don't let go of a good thing.
It's tough, man.
Figure it out.
Tough
is what you do.
But the OnlyFans founder, he cooking.
Hey, what is it? The OnlyFans did was it $6 billion?
Yeah. Y'all some mega simps, yo. I can't believe y'all.
$6 billion.
It's crazy.
And he's, what is he, 1% of it? Or 10 or some crazy number?
10%, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, it's tough.
Go ahead and dance for me.
Stay away from media.
Dance for me.
With MicroStrategy adding another $1 billion to his Bitcoin holdings, how does the firm's massive Bitcoin position impact the risk portfolio?
I mean, if he's this much levered into Bitcoin, I think if he's looking for the long term, I think he's going to do incredibly well. This is like the baby BlackRock move. I'm not mad at it. I do wonder at one point, when is he going to add to the portfolio to hedge? I always get worried, like as great as an asset as Bitcoin is, as great as a market maker as BlackRock is, what if quantum computing does come into fold? And if it does, that's when those wallets will be able to be broken into because of the compute that is there. Now, that probably won't be able to happen in 2040 if we're going off current models, but my thing is like when you're heavily weighted into one asset that you can't control or move that much, it makes me a little bit worried. But for the short time or short term in time being, he'll be fine. But I would worry, is he over invested? And I like hyper focusing in a portfolio, but I think he may be a little bit too over levered, if you will.
Is there another corporate case that you see vouching or supporting Bitcoin cryptocurrency? We just spoke about BlackRock, Larry Fink. We obviously know what Jamie Dimon's stance has been, although the business moves. Do you see another corporate side?
Oh, Vanguard gonna get in the game real soon.
What's happening?
Shout to Vanguard.
Easy.
We got shout to Vanguard and BlackRock.
Thank you.
The two most important institutions in investing. And I can see State Street piling in as well. So if you had a big three, big as the what? You know.
That game.
Yeah,
that game.
Yeah. But if he does drop interest rates,
you can see it.
Bitcoin,
the environment for it makes it more conducive to say yes now.
Absolutely.
Because you can see it. Where's it at now? Was it in the 50s, 60s?
Yeah.
Where's it at?
Yeah, it's at 57.
57.
Yeah.
That case to back up to 70 is there.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty good upswing.
Yeah, they need a couple hard pushes and more like safer, slower returns, and I think that'll be good. But yeah.
So what about OpenAI? We just saw it actually just it's pivoting away from its model of nonprofit. Very complicated structure that they had in place as far as being a nonprofit, but they're going just fully fledged into the for-profit world.
Smart.
Definitely one of the most valuable companies that's not listed on the stock market, private in the world right now. And only going to have more growth. They actually lost one of their top leaders to Anthropic.
Yeah.
So they had some shakeup as far as leadership is concerned. But what's the deal with OpenAI?
I think it's the most important company that is not publicly traded right now. Number one unicorn, in my opinion. And I know Elon has some issues with the structure, but if you're making that much money, at some point you do have to become a for-profit. And we have to be very clear, they really made the room for Nvidia to have the valuation that it did. Nvidia wouldn't go up as much without OpenAI being the software. Going back to the hardware software conversation,
it's catalyst.
They are the catalyst for that move. So I think whenever they become public, them and Starlink are the two that I'm like eyeing and trying to find and claw everywhere I can to be able to get in before they go public. I think OpenAI would be like the AI equivalent of Apple or Microsoft in one, if they stay on this track.
Yeah.
So, because they are the case, them and Nvidia made the AI sector investable and made it come to life. Actually, like a lot of people tried to put Frankenstein together before they actually did it. And even when they're listed, like, do you put them in the S&P? Do you put them in NASDAQ right away? Like, they're going to move the market. But when in terms of innovation, over the last 5 years, who's been more innovative, OpenAI or Apple?
It's been them.
You wouldn't have had this conversation 7 years ago.
Yeah. The interesting thing about the 5-year span is that they've only been here for 5 years.
Yep.
So, like, think about that. They're just 5 years.
Yep.
And part of the conversation that Oprah was having with Altman, he said, she asked him what was the most surprising thing. Mm-hmm. And he said that people think I'm the most dangerous person on the planet. I'm like, I thought about it. I'm like, yeah, he is.
One off.
Yeah, well, if you think about the technology that he possesses and the fact that he's on this side of the spectrum when it comes to America, China.
Yeah.
Right? What is he to us as an asset?
Yes.
Super valuable. But what is he to the rest of the world as far as the technology? And I mean, it's an interesting proposition for a guy who was 6 years ago just trying to figure this thing out.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think Starlink and OpenAI are the two most important. The interesting part is that those both have ties to Elon. So Elon was they were the co-founders of this thing, right? The reason that they didn't like the direction. One wanted to do nonprofit, one wanted to do profit. But some of the talk was that he was working on AI himself and wanted that to come through Tesla. And so they caused a division. And now you have, again, two of the most important technologies of this generation, maybe all generations really, at the forefront of happening. So it's interesting time to be alive. I'll say that.
The hype of OpenAI is realer than people think. And I think this is as important as the internet. Like the control of it. Yeah. This is the chess piece on the board that everyone wants. Yeah,
Bill Gates, I mean, to hear him say that, right, when we grew up, when we thought wealth, we thought Bill Gates.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, Microsoft, obviously, the internet. But to hear him say that with conviction and talk about productivity increasing by 300% over the next 10 years just due to that.
It's insane.
So what did that do to Microsoft's projection as far as Microsoft owns?
Big as the what? Told you.
Microsoft owns 49% of OpenAI.
Y'all know, it heard me say I may take Apple off. I ain't say nothing about Microsoft. So to the moon. To the moon.
So what do you think Microsoft projection will be?
Now that's a case for, we're at 3 trillion now.
I mean,
you can
in 5 years, maybe 550, 600.
It's there.
Easily.
The writing is there. Yep. Unless there was some talks of them trying to get out of the Microsoft deal.
Impossible.
Which is, they funded this. Like, there's a reason why you took the money.
If you think you're gonna run off on a plug, you're gonna be on one of them planes when the wings go missing. Like, don't. But Microsoft, I think, is gonna now at some point the government is gonna come down on them for having too much control. And I think they'll be backing those monopoly crosshairs. But great investment. It just makes me think, why didn't Apple do it when it would have integrated perfectly into Siri immediately?
They have the hardware for this technology.
Yes.
Whereas when we were trying to put it on, what was the search engine for Microsoft?
Bing.
Like,
nobody used Bing.
They
don't use Bing in Microsoft
Nobody's
headquarters.
using Bing now. But imagine if that technology would have went right to this device.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, all right.
Wow.
So Microsoft, definitely still bullish on Microsoft.
Oh, that's my baby forever.
So John Donahue, you know who he is?
Rest in peace to Donahue. Not that Donahue.
Oh, okay.
Phil Donahue.
Passed away. Yeah, rest in peace to him.
John Donahue is the CEO of Nike. And Bloomberg wrote an article. I don't know if you saw it or not.
I saw that, yeah.
They attacked him, and they said the man who made Nike uncool. Or Donahoe, I think his name is Donahoe, with an E at the end. So they have an article about how he is responsible for the downfall of Nike. And you know, this is one of these things that kind of goes against that statement of you should buy stock in companies that you support.
Yeah.
Because everybody wears Nike, but Nike stock has not done well for a long period of time, and it's almost at its 52-week low now. So Nike stock struggling, to say the least. And like I said, if you're interested, you can read the article. It's on Bloomberg, but they put a lot of the blame on his leadership as a reason that the brand has not maintained its cool factor over the course of time.
Yeah.
So what's wrong with Nike, and what's your thoughts on Nike?
I'll say this, because Nike was a great company. I wouldn't say that it hasn't been productive for a long time. If you look at its chart, the history of its chart, it has the climb that you want to see in a company.
Well, long time is relative. 5 years.
So look back 5 years.
It's negative for 5 years.
That's because so I'm going to that. So leading up to the pandemic, charts are solid.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that have happened. You're coming out of an era where you've had a dominant athlete. Sports apparel has done, it's the number one generator of business for them. You're coming out of a Jordan era. You're going into a Kobe era. You got a LeBron, KD, Tiger, all these guys. When Donald Ho takes over in 2020, look at the growth of the company since. And so when they're writing this article about the killing a company, bro, they handed you the keys. It was at an all-time high. Now, granted, the pandemic happened, athleisure was going on, people were working out from home, these things are happening. This is a egregious fumble with a company that was strong. Just like ridiculous. During the pandemic, it hit 169.
Yeah.
November 8th, 2021.
Yep, 179.
Since that point.
Yeah. So
good night, Irene.
$79.88. Okay, he wasn't the best engineer, but can we agree that Steve Jobs loved Apple and the products, and he worked on the product fervently?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sam Altman may not be the typical CEO, but we can agree that he's incredibly intelligent, was pivotal in OpenAI's formation and seeing it come to light.
Okay.
When you look at him, do you think he was wearing Nike before he got that fucking job? He doesn't look this. And one of the things when I'm looking at a company, like, do you eat the dog food from the company that you make? Are you invested in a company that you have dreams of being there before? But meanwhile, they'll tell us Kanye is crazy, but he ran this. If I ran a company from $179 to $79, they would burn me in Times Square.
Yeah,
with Casanat streaming live. Like, it's unbelievable. And even y'all ran the pandas into the ground.
Done.
What have y'all done with LeBron? I get the John Morant thing. I think when you get a CEO that doesn't care about not only our culture, because y'all made some major missteps there, but you don't care about the sneaker culture, athletic culture, you can't. It's like me being a CEO of a fucking country club. That's not what the environment I came from.
It sounds like the Apple argument of what's the innovation.
Yep.
If they don't have the Jordan brand, if they don't have the Jordan brand, and I know people are going to say that's not the number one selling shoe or the number two. I get it. But what makes it relevant?
Most impactful, yeah.
Right? Yes, the Air Force One is the number one shoe that they sell. I get it. Great.
Yeah.
Jordan, the brand itself, the retro, that's what makes it cool. The athletes make it cool.
Yep.
But LeBron's in year 21, man.
Yep.
KD's in year 19. Like, yeah, Ja, but like, is Luka moving units for you? Like, is it Zion?
Yeah.
Like, Jason Tatum is cool. Those are all Nike under the Jordan brand. But like, who is the athlete? Who are we now following? Like, where we follow these guys' careers, and maybe obviously it's a different time. But who is the person? Who is the marquee? Tired, what he did for golf. Like, we saw it. Even Nadal and with 10, like, you had these athletes, and it's like, now I'm seeing the competition. I see Ant Edwards in Adidas. I see James Harden in Adidas.
Show. Yes.
I see
Athleisure, Lululemon,
Coco Golf, and New Balance. You're starting to see people like, we don't necessarily need your marketing anymore.
Yeah.
We can do this with other brands. Rich Paul's doing it with New Balance right now.
Yeah. New Balance came and ate y'all fucking lunch. Skechers, like.
Skechers signed Joel Embiid.
Bro.
I'm not wearing Skechers though, bro.
No, I'm not.
No, we're not doing that. But at the end of it, what is it? It has to be a new technology, or is it a new design? I know a few years ago they thought they had it with the Nike 270, and that was a great selling shoe.
Yeah.
But there's not one that it's like, oh, the next year, like when we grew up, Air Max, we knew 95, 96, 97, 98. And then you started seeing variations of it. The campaigns for the sneakers are different.
Haven't been great, yeah.
What
would you do to turn the brand around?
This is it. Yeah, I'm interested to hear this.
I mean, yeah, it's difficult. It's a different climate. But you just definitely can't live off of retro sneakers forever.
Yeah.
Not just retro Jordans, but retro everything, really. So I think you guys think outside the box and think about different ways that you can, generate revenue outside of just sneakers and apparel. Whether that's Nike wearable devices, go more into that lane. It's going to have to be a lot of innovation, even with AI. Like, I feel like they could definitely have a partnership with Apple as far as for next generation athletes.
They should have had that, yep.
It's going to have to think outside about the apparel business is kind of, it is what it is. You can't really outdo what you've already done there. Mm-hmm. So now you got to kind of go over and above than just selling sneakers and T-shirts.
10 negative quarters
in a row,
bruh.
And so they cut back on their stores, right? They used to have stores, and it was like, why are we having stores? Well, they didn't have stores. They were just licensing the merchandise to Foot Lockers.
Yeah.
But then sales go down in Foot Locker, right? Then they stopped doing stores, and now it's like online is the business for you. That's what makes, like, the sneakers app does well for you, right? People don't need to go to a physical location. It's like, your size 12, bro.
Yeah.
You're not. That's your size.
Yeah.
I don't need to go in the store. I know what I'm doing. That was the last innovation that they had, the sneakers app, because that changed the way people consume sneakers. But now you lose money from the retail. I don't know what brings them back to the stores to go.
And their limited model is not working. You can't even buy sneakers that you want.
That's true.
And everybody's not going to want to wait online or go to a sneaker plug or
buy a bot to get some damn shoes.
Yeah, it's like they just make more sneakers readily available. Like, if you want, 9 times out of 10, the sneakers that you want, you can't get.
Mm-hmm.
If you go on Nike.com or a Nike store. So now you resort to a third party like GOAT, like Sneaker StockX, or like it's, and everybody's not that enthusiastic about doing that. Just make more, just have more production,
which they can do. Yeah, right. The scarcity
you can only fake supply and demand for so long
until you start going into the stores and now they're on the shelves.
Yeah,
you've turned down an audience. So like, Shad, he might be a casual sneaker buyer. He wants that shoe. If he can't get it, you know what? I'm not going back.
I'm cool, yeah.
I'm cool. And now they sit on the shelf. You go in some stores and you're like, damn, they got the retros on.
Yeah.
Damn. Nobody. I don't want it anymore. Y'all turned me. I've been turned down too many times. I'm not even interested.
Probably should have treated Kyrie right. Probably should have entertained Kanye's ideas. How about y'all hire some people that can make some innovative shit?
How about you get a new CEO? We just seen this happen with Starbucks.
Yes.
Like, how about that?
It's needed.
How about that? Like 10 negative quarters in a row. That's alarming.
You could have locked in Virgil for nothing. Like
the shareholders are seeing that.
Yes.
Like, come on.
Lululemon is eating y'all lunch, man. Like,
Virgil helped when they did the Off-White, but it's just collaboration.
It's not innovation. You should have locked that in. You let him build a whole nother, like them Lululemon. It's a bunch of brands that got hot on y'all tenure. Probably should have did better by Colin Kaepernick.
I think
the one little commercial wasn't enough.
That wasn't. The Kanye miss was probably the biggest miss, because those Yeezys, the idea for him, where he created the shoe with Louis Vuitton and then came to Nike and did those 2 shoes, the 3 shoes.
Yeah.
Even now, those shoes are going for like 16 to 20,000. Like him in having innovation inside that machine, it could have been crazy.
Helped a lot.
We saw what it did for Adidas.
Yeah, y'all ain't want to get Salehi. Y'all want to re-rock every shoe from 92 through 99.
Yeah, and stop having Tinker make new shoes. Like, Tinker's a legend. Tinker Hatfield's a legend. He created a lot of the Jordans that there's got to be a new breed of innovation. Please.
Yeah.
From one sneakerhead to the community, please.
Yeah.
All right, I'm done.
Okay, so we put a post on Instagram about Elon Musk now controls 2/3 of all satellites in space. So people might not realize how many satellites are in space, but this picture that we have is actually very telling. Maybe you can put this picture up. It's actually pretty alarming when you look at it from that aspect. And Starlink satellites, there's 7,000 Starlink satellites in space via SpaceX. And that represents...
Say the number one more time?
7,000.
Okay.
And so that represents 2/3 of the satellites that's currently in space. And they said that they might have as much as 42,000. That's the goal. So
we miscounted.
And then Elon Musk has been quoted to say that Starlink will probably deliver over 90% of all space-based internet traffic next year. So, okay, we talked about OpenAI is one of the most valuable private companies in the world, but SpaceX, I think SpaceX might be the most valuable private company in the world. SpaceX, a lot of people didn't realize why SpaceX was so important. Well, this is one of the reasons.
Yeah.
I mean, he pretty much controls the lower orbit of the space.
Not much competition. Yeah.
Single-handedly, he controls the lower orbit of the entire globe space. That's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Let alone his ambitions to go to Mars and different things of that nature, as far as on that, but just around the lower orbit of space orbit, he has 2/3 of all of the satellites that's in space. Okay, so what does this mean for humanity and also for his empire?
It's a lot of great business lessons in here. Number one, the purpose of having a business is eventually having a monopoly. I've been very critical about how he's ran Tesla over the last year. But when it comes to Starlink, he is MJ Jordan Hefe. Also, for those that I know that have had Starlink, they rave. Like, I'm in the process of getting one now. Like, they rave about the performance. Shout out to Xfinity and Comcast. But, like, if you've had internet providers, hasn't been the best experience. You guys talked about it in Ghana. When power went down, internet went down, Starlink was there to provide. Going back to the Apple thing. You're giving me more colors of a phone when he's putting space satellites up in the air to give better broadband experience at scale than he did the partnership with United. Now that's going to be one of put it on their planes. It's like, okay, great. Now I kept saying in 2020 we need to get back to building real businesses. This is one of them. I think this is the most important company in his portfolio. If you look on Twitter, he doesn't talk about Tesla as much as he used to. The focus is on election, politics, and Starlink.
Well, I mean, you talk about growth potential. I mean, what industry doesn't need that service?
Everyone. Internationally. Everyone.
You start with airlines. Name the industry that doesn't need internet access.
Yeah.
And you can provide it from a satellite. But,
digital colonization? Oh, my God. You think that OnlyFans creator making some money now? Boy,
this is different.
This is different. Like, this is a market moving monopoly that he has.
So is he the most powerful person on earth?
Hands down.
Yeah, I would say so. When you're talking about his role inside of OpenAI, which is very well documented, his role obviously with Starlink,
SpaceX, Tesla,
and
Neuralink hasn't even got moving yet.
PayPal. So
relationships.
I don't. It has. I would say who would be like in that conversation.
No one. He is the evil genius. I got a little theory about Elon, but I'm gonna say it's a 2045 or something.
2045,
2050. But when you control this many, think about it. Tesla probably is the worst performing company in his portfolio. That's insane to be like, oh, okay, that's underachieving.
Oh, Twitter.
Well, yeah.
That's not.
Yeah.
Twitter.
We can't.
But no, I mean, Tesla,
44 billion.
No, this is definitely more important than Tesla for sure. I mean, the Neuralink. I mean, that's going to go crazy.
Yeah. If I was Xfinity, Comcast, Time Warner, any of the I would be incredible.
You all need them.
But then, from the conspiracy theorists, they're like, okay, so he's pretty much going to control global orbit as far as satellites, right? Across, and no matter where you are in the world, at some point in time, your internet connection, your satellite's going to be run through Elon Musk from a satellite perspective. And then Neuralink is a chip that put in your brain that's going to help people as far as paraplegic, and at some point in time, who knows, it might become just mainstream like Ozempic, as far as you just want to just learn more in a shorter period of time. You can So, you know, what happens if the chip in your brain is linked to the satellites in the sky?
Hey, Terminator 2.
Judgment Day.
We're here.
And he can control 1 billion people at one time. What if 1 billion people have chips in their brain and he has satellites in every part of the world? And at one point in time, he just wants to just decide to just create an army.
At one point,
Hunger Games
coming soon, he's going to be the most important political figure. Caesar-esque. Not that Caesar, but Caesar of Rome. Caesar-esque. That's funny. Shout to Caesar.
Please.
But yeah, he's going to be the most powerful person on the planet for sure. Probably.
Is he not now?
I think it's going to be clearly done. Like Gates was that for a long period of time. Elon is
between him and Sam Altman. Which I would love to just like, you know, you could be a fly in the room.
Yeah.
Imagine
to hit those battles.
sitting in a room for 3 years coming up with ideas.
And then for you to tell me you didn't want it to be a for-profit company, then make it for profit while undercutting me, boy.
I mean, he has his own AI. Is it XAI?
Yeah.
He's creating it.
Undercut me, I X you out.
Yeah.
Like what? But what can you do? But yeah, he's probably going to be the number one political figure by 2040, hands down. Yep.
It's scary.
It's scary, man. But we're living the Big Brother dream out in real time, and nobody's saying anything about it. Like, what can you do? No.
7,000 estimated 7,000.
That's the underreporting.
Yeah.
What?
Aisha Bo was telling us the benefit. Like we were like, why do people go out there? And then you start realizing satellites and like all that information
all
is
that
coming
data.
From yeah.
Oceanography.
But you're talking
military.
About the Africa case for Starlink. I mean, there's no industry that doesn't need the service, which makes it almost.
Yeah.
I mean,
superior.
how can you think of something that's more important? What other industry can disrupt all industries?
And Apple giving us a pink colorway. Boy.
And they said the color's whack too, by the way.
Facts.
What about China's local government debt?
This goes back about the global recession fears. I don't know what we're calling it, but I think because China's market is at a stalemate and kind of gridlocked, it's now affecting Japan. We're being affected. I just want to know who's going to be the person to call it and say that we've been in a global niche recession. Maybe we can ask Steve Leisman and have him come on. But
call him back.
If China's in trouble, we're in trouble. Australia's having compression. UK is having compression. At what point are we going to call it a recession? I've been saying that our market will flourish incredibly well once their market starts moving. The real estate market has been in correction for 2 years. Stock market has been in recession for 2 years. We can't act like these things are not big issues. So everyone keeps asking me about the China trade and how do you play China. I don't think you can invest in China right now. Like, it's hard enough to understand like our U.S. policies, let alone to not live there, to understand that culture and their political seasonality. I think it's uninvestable right now for the time being until they announce what's really going on in the market.
That, in addition to, and this is a valuable lesson to our Market Mondays day one, is the alleged fabrication of financial records.
Yes.
There's no way to verify that.
That makes
and
it
even
tough.
when you invest in Chinese companies, technically you're not investing in Chinese companies.
Tell them.
You're investing in U.S. subsidiaries that have investment in Chinese companies.
Yes.
That's a whole nother lesson.
That's a different game.
I'm with you. I'm not internationally investing. I've learned from that coffee era. Shout out to everybody that was listening in. But yeah, man, I can't. We've seen it too many times, right? The numbers are the numbers are the numbers, and they're not really the numbers.
Yeah.
Geopolitical, it's just a lot.
That's too much.
Let me focus on this economy. This is hard enough.
Yeah, it's hard enough.
Yeah, there's a lot of companies here, and it's a lot.
Now, if they go get that semi company, then I'm going to change my stance on if they invest.
We'll be coming back to tell you something different.
But until then, no.
The numbers have to be the numbers.
Yeah. You can't get clean reporting. That's tough.
Yeah, how do you vouch it?
You can't.
You can't.
You can't.
What about the battle between Oracle and Salesforce?
I love Mark Benioff, product of Tony Robbins, great CEO. And If I have to pick between the two for sure, I think Larry's a better leader. I think I'm not saying that it's dead, but I don't think there's a case with AI why you should invest in Salesforce anymore. Shout out to everyone at HQ. Mark, I love you dearly from the bottom of my heart. I really do. But if you have OpenAI and you have Nvidia, you have Anthropic, Oracle is a better investment and better company. Why would you invest in Salesforce? And the CRM isn't as amazing as it used to be.
Is it needed?
It's tough.
Or will the use case for it, does it now come into question?
I think at some point you're going to have a lot of ChatGPT, OpenAI spinoffs that make it for a much more affordable price. When I was looking at it yesterday, I'm trying to figure. It's like the Drake conundrum. Like, what do you do to come back and win? I don't know how they win this battle. Then profit margin for a tech company is 11%. Mm-hmm. That's Nike's profit margin.
And they're slow to the party.
They react. They never innovate. Mm-hmm. They copy and adjust along the way. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. So
yeah, Oracle has made the AI implementation into business a little bit more streamlined. Mm-hmm. They've been at the forefront of it quietly.
Yes,
quietly.
Very quietly.
They had some pullback over the summer.
Had a great performance.
Had some pullback over the summer, which is, I mean, again, great companies will consolidate. They will pull back. That's a great time. CRM, which I was a fan of for a few years, I'm starting that moat of the CRM business. When we talk about disruptive industries that will be impacted greatly by AI, this is at the forefront.
The top 5, yep.
Are they number one in the space? Yes. They have to figure out, and I haven't seen the clear outline plan of how it's being incorporated with your employees right now, right? Because we said, yeah, AI will disrupt, but employees will be using it as an assistant. I'm seeing it as, this might be the new employee.
Yeah.
I don't even.
That's the way I use it.
Right? And so they have to be more innovative. They have to be more forthcoming with the information, because it just feels like they're getting left behind in this race. Oracle has been implemented. We see the increase. Benioff, I think, is a great leader. We've actually seen him in was it in Davos we saw him? At a Time magazine party. But yeah, man, it just feels like it's getting left behind in this space. And I think he's a great leader. I think it's a great company. It's just that I'm trying to figure out where they place themselves inside of this AI revolution.
I don't know if there's a place, because back in the day, if you needed a follow-up sequence, they were great for that. But if you can do all that,
if you automate it,
ChatGPT, like, you don't need that. Oracle's opened up the year at 104.52, is currently at 169, up 4% today. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
And the big lesson I want to stress this week: when you have the lead, continue to innovate so you don't fall behind. Once you fall behind, it's not guaranteed that you'll get back in pole position. So, but yeah, I would be long Oracle, short CRM if I had to do a.
It's up 70% this year, Oracle?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Quietly.
That's like not even a company yet.
Quietly.
Up 70%.
And Salesforce is underneath where it opened up this year.
Yeah. It's at some negative quarters. Yeah. I know. I was in the stock.
That's a fact.
So
50 Cent Thursday at 9:00 Eastern Standard Time on Earn Your Leisure's YouTube channel. We're gonna talk about business. This is the business conversation, not the gossip, not anything messy. Business conversation. Somebody that's really built a $500 million empire from the bottom.
Yeah,
literally from the bottom. Like, shot 9 times, damn near died.
I don't want one to learn.
I think people forget that part of the story.
For real.
Could have died.
When you say the underdog's on top, like, that's a fact. Like, he was literally like damn near dead.
Yeah, and got blackball.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you got to be extremely intelligent to be able to come from that dire situation, turn things around.
Resilient.
Absolutely.
For sure. So,
made stars more valuable.
Made a couple. I mean,
that's a fact.
What he's doing is incredible, man. I'm glad we got to highlight him.
Market Mondays, definitely one of the most important things that you can do on a weekly basis is watch Market Mondays, because so much stuff that we talk about as far as like hip hop journalism and all of this stuff, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not really important to the world.
Yeah.
So this is a platform where you can actually gain not only just stock information, but also just real time information that could actually help you. Just by listening, you'll be ahead of 90% of the people.
Absolutely.
Because,
Easily.
most people just entertained by foolish nonsense that doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of life.
Yeah. Shout out to everybody that tapped in. They're entertained by making money
That's what
for
matters the
themselves
most.
and helping their families out.
That's what matters
Straight
the
up.
most. Yes.
Like, that's straight up.
Yes. If I made you money, please put yes in chat. We're gonna talk on Blackout too, though. We're gonna talk on Blackout.
Shout out to our brother Lecrae. Was on the InvestFest stage. I heard Kendrick mention him in the new joint.
D1 too.
D1 who
Yeah,
was
shout
on
out to
Blackout
D1.
and was at InvestFest too.
Yeah.
Shout out to them, and he's getting some backlash. That might be a topic.
Who?
D1?
D1, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You know, it's always going
Leave
to be
my
some
guy
level.
alone.
It's always going to
I
be.
stay out of 504 business.
Oh yeah, I'm good.
It's always going to be some level of negativity.
Some
But
504 stuff.
as somebody told me, that means that you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, but shout out to them though. Those guys are rooted in purposeful messages. So for them to get a shout out like that, that's a dope look.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a fact, man.
DJ, can you text Kendrick and tell him to stop?
Hey, what up?
Please.
DJ
You and
Head.
Elliot. Can y'all tell him to stop, yo?
Shout out to Head.
My God.
I'm glad. You know what? I'm happy for. I'm happy for this moment for him.
Took it a little too far.
Yeah.
I'm happy that Head, who's been doing
Pause.
this,
So I'm happy
DJ
for
Head.
Yeah.
Well, that's not
DJ,
a pause.
you got
Whoa,
DJ
whoa, whoa.
Head.
That's
His
not
name
a
is
pause.
DJ Head.
No, I said I'm
You
happy.
got to preference that.
But I said I'm happy for Head. That's not a pause.
That's not a pause.
So
that's something to be happy over.
Yeah.
That's something to be happy over. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
Gotcha.
Shout out to DJ Head though for the moment that he's having and has had since
Yeah.
to be like,
A solid person.
yo, I'm watching him like he was built for this moment.
Yeah.
And he obviously spawned into like 2 new shows. But just when we sat down with him, just the grind that he's been on, the hustle that he's been doing, and he's been like a fabric in West Coast culture, and he gonna stand on it. So shout out to our brother DJ Head.
Yeah. But text your boy
Please.
and tell him stop with the Drake shit.
Sticks, what up?
Come on. My Lord. We gonna have that West Coast conversation on Blackout?
Maybe. Shout out to Stick Watts, man. Get him on the call in.
Absolutely.
Get him
Shout
on the
out to Stig.
call in.
We got some ideas.
Yeah. DJ Quick. Yeah, we need a few little moments.
Short dog.
Yeah. What was the most impactful lesson you guys learned today? I miss being out here. I miss New York. I gotta start coming back out here more often.
New York.
It's a good week.
Yeah.
Yeah, September's a great month for New York.
It's that New York vibes. New York forever, man. Shout out to everybody tapped in. Don't forget Blackout on Wednesday, 10 o'clock. And then, as I said, Earn Your Leisure. We got 50 Cent dropping on Thursday, 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Live on the live joint. And then subscribe to the podcast.
Please.
Market Mondays podcast, Blackout podcast, Earn Your Leisure podcast. Vitally important Dallas. We will be in your area this weekend. Dallas, Fort Worth.
Yep.
Invest DFW. Ian will be in Atlanta for Revolt
Shout out to
World.
Revolt.
Shout out to Atlanta, Revolt, the whole crew out there.
Yeah.
So a lot going on.
Yeah. And shout out to Eastside Golf, our brothers. I know they took over the city this weekend, had a dope activation. Shout out to them. That's incredible what they're doing inside of the game of golf and being disruptive. And shout out to my son Christian, man. He played his first football game. Got his first dub. Shotty was out there. Appreciate you coming out. Ab was out there. The whole family came out to support him. It was crazy, man. I thought I wasn't gonna be the dad on the sideline, so I stood like behind, but I ended up being a dad on the sideline. But it was dope to watch, man.
You got to go crazy and be there to support.
Yeah. We back this week. Win number 2.
Facts.
Stock Club call Sunday 9 p.m. Central, 10 Eastern. I don't know, maybe Budokan this week. I don't know. We're out on somewhere.
Budokan it is.
Clip that up.
Budokan Don.
Oh, shout out to 19 Keys. Make sure y'all check out his episode. He just dropped yesterday. It's already going crazy. Probably had 100,000 views in the day, and that's with Billy Carson and Yaki Awaken
that was
from
phenomenal.
InvestFest. That was from the InvestFest. One of the gyms that was done in InvestFest. A very highlight highlighted moment for sure during the course of the weekend.
Yeah.
So he just dropped that. That's on our YouTube channel.
Yeah,
so
that's
shout out
fire.
to 19,
Yes, sir.
Billy Carson, Yaki.
Yeah.
The God. Peace, God.
Yeah, that was dope. That was dope conversation.
And even
that.
if you're an entrepreneur, watch them on how they present in command stage. That was a masterclass. Like them 50, watch how they command. That's why I was nervous. I'm like, man, I gotta get this marching band in time. Actually, what we doing? You have to watch how well people present. Oh, I can only imagine.
That's a crazy. I'm just saying that lineup of like, I'm going on after them, and then I'm going on after them, and then I'm going. That was a hell of a day. It was a hell of a day. Great day.
Yeah.
No, facts. Well, all right, guys. Thank you guys for rocking with us. We will see you on Wednesday and then again on Thursday. As I said, make sure you subscribe to the podcast audio. Very important. And love is love.
I love y'all dearly.
Peace.
Peace.